This is Foxboro's Fortress, your home for all the latest on the New England Revolution. Brought to you by Leading Lights, LLC. Hello and welcome everyone to Foxboro's Fortress, your home for all the latest on the New England Revolution. I'm Cecil Kenney.
And I'm Raphael Babchuck.
Today, we're joined by Revolution Recap's own Greg Johnstone to talk about the FC Cincinnati match breakdown and look ahead to the Atlanta United match.
Big thanks to our sponsor, Leading Lights LLC, for making this possible. We'll talk about more later. For now, let's take a look at how the Reds perform against Cincinnati with Greg Johnstone.
Alright, well, hello Greg. What's going on?
Hey guys, thanks for having me here. Really excited to be a part of Foxboro's Fortress and welcome you guys to the Revolution podcasting scene. It's a super exciting time to be involved in watching and talking about the Revs on a weekly basis. So you guys are brave souls for doing this.
All right, well, Thank you. Let's just jump right into the FC Cincinnati match breakdown. You want to start us off with the lineup?
Yeah, so the same lineup as last game versus Red Bull, except Almsberg came out with the injury and Ceballos came back into the game. Ended 1-0 to Cincinnati. A goal by Sergio Santos in the 65th minute, assisted by Buca. That's how we. That's not the best result that we wanted. Not at all.
No. It's good to see Ceballos back, which is something I'm very glad to see. His injury last week or the week prior was not the greatest. Having to play with Olmsberg and then Beeson coming in because another injury. That center back core is now getting quite thin with injuries as of late. Not the greatest to see.
No, not the greatest to see, but I think if there's a positive we can start with here, I think Fofana and Ceballos have been really solid to start the season. And I think coming into the year, especially, I think last year, the Revs gave up something like the fifth most goals in a season in MLS history.
Yeah.
So you're bringing in two guys that haven't played together, that are new to MLS, that are new to the team. And also, you have a very young pairing at the outside back with Feingold and Miller. So you have some young outside backs and you have some new center backs being thrown into the mix. And I think Fofana and Ceballos, for the most part, have kind of lived up to the billing so far. And I think they have room to grow too. They're both still in their early to mid-20s. So good to see Ceballos back. I have a lot of questions about their depth. I thought Olmsberg played pretty decently and Beeson played pretty decently last week too. But coming into the season, Olmsberg and Beeson were let go kind of unceremoniously by Chicago and San Jose. Both teams, neither one really solid defensively. So a lot of questions with that depth. And I believe Keegan Hughes too was signed as a center back too. So when you have a third kind of backup center back signed so early, I think there's also some questions in the locker room about that depth too. So it'll be interesting how it shakes out. But either way, very good to see Ceballos back in the starting pairing in the lineup.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then Fofana, like you mentioned, he's been incredible to start the year. Coming from the French league too. That's been a surprise, but a very good surprise at that. 27 years of age and just doing really good for us, to say the least. I haven't seen much of him doing poorly, so it's great to see that.
Agreed.
Yeah. Let's talk about that loss. So 1-0, like you said, to Cincinnati. We had 15 shots, 1 on target, 0.68 expected goals, 10 corners, 2 off the woodwork. What do you make of that?
I think of it, we had 15 shots, so that's an attempt at something attacking, like Caleb Porter said, a few, 2 weeks back, how he said he wanted to continue and he wants to play attackingly. So yeah, he played what we wanted to do attackingly. 15 shots is good, but 1 on target, we have to be much better, especially clinically, finishing. We hit the woodwork twice. One of them was a little lucky as the keeper kind of bobbled the ball. But we have to be better attackingly if we want to, score more goals. Because again, that's another, as I say in the podcast, that's another donut, another 0.
Yeah. We like donuts for the other team, but not for us.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% too. And I'm glad you brought up that second woodwork was really, since he almost dropping the ball there, that's really not something that we earned. That first woodwork was actually a really nice set piece header, which, it is nice to see, after last week, 2 set piece goals, maybe, looking threatening on a corner kick, I think is an encouraging sign, especially 2 weeks ago. Carlos Hill had some bad corner kicks. So nice to see that element kind of developing. But from the run of play, this team looks really dead. So I echo everything you guys are saying here. We're just There needs to be more offense. There needs to be more threats. One shot on target isn't going to lead to wins, and it's probably not going to lead to draws either.
No,
Mhm.
like we've been saying the entire podcast, we have to get something going in the run of play. With even in the public viewing against Hartford, we only won 2-0, and it was both on set pieces. So that really
Yeah.
wasn't good to see, especially in the preseason. And now we're in the season, and our only two goals have come from set pieces, and so it's really not looking good from that run of play. It's cool that we're like scoring set pieces. Now that's like not we had, I think it was like one penalty and one free kick
Yeah.
all of last year, and we had one of each in one game. So that's impressive to say the least. But if we can't score off of the run of play, we can't just rely on set pieces. It's not.
Absolutely.
um, I have one good thing, one bad thing. We lost. That's not ever a good thing. Losing is not very good.
Yeah, it's not very good, but I have to say our defense was definitely, as we've said, as we said earlier, was definitely the strong point. I really like our two center backs, and then Feingold and Peyton Miller. I have to say have been really well. Peyton Miller these past two games, which is what I've seen him from. I mean, he's playing really well. I really like him. He was my standout of this last game for Cincinnati. I mean, I really like his play.
Yeah, I was going to go with Peyton Miller too as my good thing. He looks like such an upgrade over Will Sands. Still 17 years old, but he looks like he is an MLS vet who knows exactly where to be. Everything just kind of operates a lot more smoothly with Peyton Miller in there, and he's getting into the box pretty well. He also had a really nice cross. There was one play in the first half where he and Ganago were kind of working the ball down the left side. He had a very, very nice cross that someone should have been running onto the ball and getting a header on it. It led to nothing, but the crossing ability is there, the speed is there, the intelligence is there, the instincts are there. He really fits like a glove, even though there's been limited time. So I'm very encouraged by Miller. I'll also go with Matt Polster. I thought Matt Polster fits a lot better than Jackson Ewell has in the time we've seen him.
Yeah.
So it's good to see Matt Polster kind of back a little bit. I think Polster with Youssef, I think bringing Youssef onto the team has allowed Polster to kind of look like the Matt Polster of old, whereas last year I think he seemed a little bit lost. He seemed to have lost a step. I was encouraged by Matt Polster yesterday. He seemed to be the midfield seemed to be flowing a little bit better than it does with Jackson Ewell.
Yeah. In coming into the season, I had made the point that Jackson Ewell is a more well-rounded version of Matt Polster, and while being younger. But now into the season, with Polster having been playing how he has, um, I do want to take that back because Polster's been looking a lot better than Jackson Ewell.
Hmm.
And I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah,
Jackson Ewell hasn't really done what we wanted him to do, in that midfield role, but he has done, but Matt Polster has done a lot better than he had last year, and especially like you mentioned, Yusuf. I've always been a big fan of his. Even while he was at Royal Antwerp, he's a very good player, and so it's great to see him and Polster working in
yeah.
that tandem.
Yeah, I have to say, Jackson Yu, from what we've seen of him, kind of even like the first few games of the season, I kind of let him as like a ghost. Like he's not really there sometimes. Sometimes we see him, sometimes we don't. And it was kind of for a little bit when I feel like when we have him on the field, it's like we're playing with 10 men. I don't really see him impacting the game as well as I thought he would when we first brought him in. So Polster, again, last game I criticized him for not being, I thought he wasn't as good as he could be, but then this game he kind of showed again how good of a player he can be for the Revolution.
Yeah, and then this can be a good thing. This can be a bad thing. Carlos Gil creating the most chances with six. He's our captain. He's our number 10. He should be creating multiple chances and most. It was the most chances in the match out of one player with six. Um, that being said, something that we don't really have is someone else to kind of work off of. We're playing almost solely through Carlos, and that's when you're playing in MLS and really anywhere, you can't just feed through one player and have it work. It's just not. That's not how that works. It's a
Yeah,
team game. You can't only work with one player.
agreed.
I got a stat here for you guys, and we're gonna try to read this later tonight on Revolution Recap. I won't be on the show, but I'm gonna feed this stat over here because I really like it. So, in terms of progressive passes, Carlos Gil is one of the league leaders in progressive passes, and the Revs as a team are at the near bottom in progressive passes. If you look at and progressive passes is defined by moving the ball basically 10 yards upfield. A pass that moves the ball 10 yards upfield further from the last six passes. So basically, if you're moving the ball around, who's breaking the line? Carlos Gil leads the team with 63 progressive passes. You guys want to guess who's next? We just mentioned him a second ago.
Did
We
we?
said
Polster?
uh,
Both. Really?
nope, nope. Other guy in the midfield.
Yusuf?
Yusuf. So
Mm,
Heel is at 63. Yusuf is at 34 on the season. And then Matt Polster, who has had limited time, is at 19. So outside of that, there's only two guys with more than 20 progressive passes on this team. And then Matt Polster, as I say, very limited time. He's only played, what, two or three games? Three games, 255 minutes. He's played half the time as Carlos Heel. He's third on the team. Then you get to Feingold with 13, Fafana at 11, Brandon By at 10, and then everyone else is 10 or less. So no one's really moving the ball up the field that much. And then these stats are from football, by the way. If you look at progressive carries, who leads the team in progressive carries? Carlos Hill. Carlos Hill is 29. Next is Luca Langoni, then at 17, then Ignatius Gago at 14, and then Feingold Youssef at 11 and 10. So really the way the ball is moving up the field is either Carlos Hill is carrying it or Carlos Hill is passing it. And that doesn't lead for long-term success. He can't do everything by himself. So I agree with everything you guys said there. I have one more bad thing. Can we talk about one more bad thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Maxi Urruti. I'm done. I'm kind of good with him.
Yeah.
yeah.
This is the second year in a row. I feel like the team has really not been prepared in terms of striker depth. Last year with Vrioni and Bobby Wood. Bobby Wood had some injury issues, and Vrioni was a bit of a stinker. Now we're having Campana out, and Maxi Urruti just not seem up for the task whatsoever. I need to look into exactly what the roster situation is, but I think the Revs have to look at their options in terms of free agent center forwards because Urruti and Caleb Porter made a comment about this being Urruti's third straight game. He's 34 years old. Those are games with full rest. He's had a week to recover, so that shouldn't be an issue. So I'm really questioning his fitness and his real just effectiveness overall as a player in the year 2025. I'm really not seeing anything from Yurdi, and I think a lot of the things we talked about, the offensive stats and the lack of expected goals, I think there's just a black hole right now up top, and the
Yeah.
Revs need to look outside the box if Campana's out for longer stretches.
Yeah. I think Caleb Porter said that Campana and Chunkalai were both like 1 to 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
Great to hear about Chunkalai because that's incredible to hear him coming back in April as opposed to what FOMUP says is early July, I
Yeah.
think. Which is it's a bit off. Um, but Campana coming back, that should be good, but he didn't show anything in the two games that he did play. And
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
striker position we haven't done anything. Like Campana, he was that big name like GAM signing for 2.5 million and funny enough we hold the record for like biggest like GAM signing.
Yeah.
Um and then it was like and then like cash for player was introduced.
Yeah.
That was like the last ditch effort like hey, let's get something for this GAM and like get it out.
Yeah.
But Campana and Rudy, they haven't done
Yeah.
anything for us. And
Mhm.
yes, Campana's been out, but both of them haven't been able to do anything at that striker position.
Yeah, I want to get into the subs and their uses. So we had Jackson Yule came on for Rudy in the 55th minute, and Diaz came in for Langoni in the 73rd minute. So I want to really talk about that first one. I mean, putting in Jackson Yule, who is like a CDM, right? Kind of defensive mid, in for Rudy, who is a striker, is not the play when we need to score goals. And I mean, we put that in, and who did we like? We didn't really have any playing up top at that time. We were like switching. I don't think that's a sub that we should have done. Yes, we don't have that many options, but I mean, that's not like something we need to do. Rudy, yes, he hasn't been that good, but he is a striker, and in those times of need, maybe he can put in a finish if we need him because he is a striker. That is position. Jackson Newell is not, and I don't think that was a real great use of our subs. And then Diaz for Langoni. Langoni, I thought would kind of have a breakout game because in the game before versus Red Bull, I really thought he played much better, and I thought he was really going to get his goal and get into his groove, and it really wasn't what happened.
No, I want to talk about that winger depth. We kind of had Ganago playing up top at that nine. When Rudy came off and Yule playing on the wing. I don't really agree with that. Um, but like we don't have striker depth like we were mentioning, but also wingers. We don't have a lot of that. Like we didn't have a ton of that on the bench, and Diaz is the only guy who we really like think about bringing on at that position. Um, I really wish we could see something out of Langoni. Like we saw like something out of him in that Red Bull match. He played a lot better, but other than that, I need to see more from Langoni.
Yeah,
He's our record signing, and I'd need to see more from him.
yeah,
It's
I
not.
agree.
It's not.
I think it's same for him and kind of Ganago. I feel like if they get a goal, like maybe they can get in that mindset of like, yeah, maybe I can do this. Like I think they just need that little push because they're great players and they're great on the wing and they just need to show that and have like the confidence to prove that out on the pitch.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said here too. And I think the other thing too about moving Ganago up top, if you look at the two subs they made, it felt like we got a little bit slower on the wings. And a lot of the way we progress the ball forward is moving the ball up the wings at points. And it just seemed like as this game went on and on and on, Cincinnati just kept building and building and building and building, and we really had no bite on the counter attack. So I think we really took away a lot of our offensive bite, moving Ganago kind of up top a little bit. I think, really we should have kept him out on the wing. But the other thing too, I'll say is that only two subs used. Really not a good sign. A good sign of how much Caleb Porter trusts his bench. But one other thing that I think the Revs could have done here is we talk about no striker available. The Revs have the ability to sign a Revs 2 player to a short term contract for 6 games throughout the year. So this seemed to be a game where maybe you bring up Marcos Diaz from Revs 2, who's been in the system for 2 3 years. They did that last year for 4 games. This seems to me, especially with Shankalai and Campana coming back in 1 to 2 weeks, it seemed like a no brainer to me to have him on the bench available, and he wasn't, and that seemed to really. You're right. The Yule substitution did not make a ton of sense to me there. I get trying out different things, but I would have liked a little bit better if we had a striker for striker, a like for like sub. I'm fine with Urruti coming off. The problem is just we didn't have a suitable replacement for him, and I think that really killed the team down the stretch.
I was gonna mention this at the end of the podcast, but I'll mention it now. We sent Vancouver $250,000 in GAM for an international roster spot, and when I saw that, I was like, okay, maybe that's a sign of us bringing out Marcos Diaz, because he would need an international roster spot because he's
Mm,
Brazilian. He
mm.
would take an international roster spot. But we didn't bring him up. We have this international roster spot now, and it's kind of just sitting there.
Well, what I believe it's going to be used for is Thomas Shankalai, because when you're on injury list, you get roster relief, which basically means Shankalai does not take a roster spot or an international roster spot right now. Technically, he doesn't take a designated player roster spot. So when he's activated, essentially what that means is they will need an international roster spot for when he is available. So I think they're just preparing for Shankalai. But you're right. I think I need to double check the rules. I think you could have called up Diaz in the interim while
Yeah,
Shankalai is still on the injury list.
yeah,
So I think you're right there.
and so it definitely would have been good to have Marcus Diaz on the bench. Having him not on the bench is kind of
Yeah.
a waste if Chunklai and Campana are coming back soon, because
Mhm.
now we
When are you
just
going to use them?
yeah, when we're gonna
Yeah.
Yeah.
use him, we just kind of threw a game away there without a striker for that like second half.
Yeah, agreed. I know we both kind of said Peyton Miller was kind of our standout. How about what do you think your standout was of that game?
I don't know. I also love Peyton Miller. I really love the defense. I think the tandem of Mamadou Fofana and Ceballos, those two have been my favorites throughout the year. Those are the only letting up one to Cincinnati. They have a very good team. And so I'm gonna praise that defense. Because they're just very they've done really well throughout the year, and just they've been able to hold great teams to 1 to 2 or 3 goals or less. Like it's been great to see what they've been able to kind of accomplish
Yeah,
um
I agree. I
this
mean,
year.
our defense is doing really well, but I feel like if every single game we bring up how good our defense is, I mean, it's every single game. It's like, yeah, our defense is good form, but what about the rest of the team? Like, if we keep going out and be like, oh yeah, our defense was great, it's been great, but we need to improve in other areas. And if we don't, we're just gonna sit here every other week, say our defense was good and everything else was not.
Yeah, it's kind of it's really unfortunate. Since Bruce Arena left, it's we've been on a downward spiral,
Yep.
and we've just I remember because he left, then Petrovic left, and then um only a few months later with Jacob Jackson starting in the playoffs. I don't know how that one happened, but here we are with Jacob Jackson starting the playoffs. I don't know what got us here, but now we're without Jacob Jackson, Ivicic, and the team is
Yeah.
somehow doing worse. It's not.
Uh,
It's
that,
not.
if the Revs don't make the playoffs for a few years, that's going to be a really good trivia question. Who? Oh, actually, wait, no, he wasn't the last goalie starting goal because, or in other words, replaced him for the
Yeah,
second leg. But I was going to say who's the last goalkeeper for a Revs playoff game? Jacob Jackson would have been a great answer, but it's actually Earl Edwards Jr. I got my own trivia question wrong. Never mind. Sorry.
it would.
Jacob Jackson will always be a legend in my mind, though. That was he got really thrown into a pretty poor
Yeah.
situation.
And then we drafted another goalkeeper in the first round with I forget his name right now.
No.
Donovan Parisian.
Yeah.
Um, hopefully he can be something for us. And then we've got JD Gunn, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, I'd really like to see us actually do something. Other than talk about our defense. But
Agreed.
that's the only bright spot I'm seeing so far.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of unfortunate.
Every other week, we're like, oh, look how great our defense has been.
And
But I'm
then
looking to talk about our
I'm looking at talk
offense,
like
and I really want to.
we're
We
like
we could talk about Maxi Rudy again. I don't
Yeah,
know if we
right.
want. I mean, no, you could. I feel like I've got that all out, but if
Right.
we want to
now
keep going there.
I don't know if I want to talk about Maxi
Right.
anymore. Like
Yeah.
that's not really something I want to talk about anymore. That's a topic I've moved on from. Cappy, you're starting up top next game. Like
Right.
at this point, Maxi
Right.
already go back to the bench. I'm
Right.
tired.
I think we should just be making a phone call to that Norwegian team that has Justin Rennicks and see if we can get him on loan for a
Yes.
couple of months. Give me, you could name any striker in the world, and I think I'd be like, yeah, start him over Maxi Rudy.
Right.
Yes.
Outside of maybe Josie Altidore, but outside of that, I think throw a name at me and I'm all for it.
AC Olu.
Yeah.
Give me my Justin Rennick back. Like, come on.
Did you know that off the top of your head?
Yes, I did not.
I'm very impressive. I did not remember the name of the team. Good for you. That was awesome.
And then I'm kind of upset that we let Tico Rivera walk because
Yeah.
maybe he wasn't like the greatest, but like, hi, striker depth. We need that,
Right.
and
Yeah.
we don't have that, and now we're in a crisis again.
Yeah,
Having
well, I think Rivera probably functions more better as a winger,
yeah,
which is kind of, and again, like it's same thing with Jack Peniotu, where we have these guys that we're bringing in. We brought in Langoni, we brought in Shankala, we brought in Kanago. We have Diaz now. Arguably, Noel Buck could play on the wing as well too.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about Noel Buck and his absence. I mean, boy, we're wasting him. But Jack Peniotu is he went down to Rhode Island. We recalled him. We really kind of stunted his loan there, and now he's wasting away on the bench as well. It just seems like we have all these young kids that, because they were wingers, we're not able to use them. And meanwhile, we have a black hole at striker, which really, since Adam Buxa has really, it's been frustrating to see. So yeah, but yeah, I'm for playing anyone at striker at this
yeah.
position. But
I like how you
Damien,
brought up.
I believe Damien Rivera is actually doing quite well too. I
Yeah,
believe
I think he's doing
Phoenix.
very well.
He's scored a couple goals.
Yeah, he's done decent. He was with Tampa on loan last year, and then he left on a free transfer to Phoenix. Good to see him doing well. I like that you brought up Noel Buck. It was his birthday yesterday. We didn't play him on his birthday. Would have been nice, happy birthday, Noel. We're starting you today, but
Right.
that's not what we're gonna do.
Well,
Um,
we only had 5 substitutions to make, and 2 of them were taken. So when would they have gotten him into the game?
exactly.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not like you can use a third sub.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if it's like if Caleb Porter doesn't trust. Like I don't know what it is, but I feel like if this we have to. He was talking about, oh yeah, Rudy. Yeah, he look how
Yeah,
he's older. He's been playing a lot of games. Yeah, but you're not trusting anybody else to put someone else in.
yeah,
So what are you really saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I think Noel Buck is an out and out center mid. We play a 4-2-3-1. CDM, Cam, winger. I see Noel Buck as an out and out center mid. He's not too defensive. He's not too attacking. He is like that playmaker that is going to
Yeah.
play and flourish in a 4-3-3. And like anything that has an out and out center mid. He's not really a CDM. He doesn't really have the speed for winger. I don't know why we kept playing it. We played him at fullback because
Yeah.
he didn't do well there. He doesn't have the speed for the fullback or winger. Um, I feel like he's best suited as a CDM, maybe with Polster to play CDM and then have Noel have that freedom to venture up more. And so maybe like a Yusuf for Buck substitution one of these days. But
yeah.
God
But
forbid he's a third substitution.
we put Jackson Yule on the wing. I'd rather have Buck on the wing. You know what I
I'd
mean?
also rather Buck on the ring.
So I mean, I think saying the quiet part out loud is that, the Revs loaned him to Southampton and expected Southampton to purchase him. And, one day they're preseason and Noel Buck shows up and they're like, crap, we don't have a role for you. So, but it's frustrating. If you look at Noel Buck's contract situation, he has one guaranteed year left and then he has an option year next year. And then he's a free agent and there's no way he's agreeing to come back to the Revs right now. So, the Revs really are in a tough situation where they need to loan him or sell him for peanuts from what they could have gotten a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
or they need to start building up his value. And if you're not winning, I think you have to play him at some point. But Porter clearly just does not want to. So
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do with him, but it's going to be really frustrating. It's going to be a similar to a Damian Rivera situation where this guy's in the system for 5 years. They don't find a role for him ever. His contract runs up and then he has to go play at USL or, I'm sure no Buck will go abroad, but it's a very frustrating situation because Noel Buck, I think, deserves a lot better than what the Revs are giving him right now.
Very much so. He's a phenomenal player. Just
Yeah.
like a few years ago, he was playing with the England U19s along with Kobe Mainu. Like I don't I don't get how like it's a fall from grace in like the worst scenario.
Mm.
Um
But happy birthday anyway, Noel.
yeah,
Yeah.
happy
Yeah,
birthday,
happy
no
birthday.
happy
Yeah.
birthday, Noel. We love you. We wish Caleb Porter would play you more.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, with that I'm gonna cut to my ad break for Leading Lights LLC. Unlock the power of your platform data with Leading Lights, experts in transforming raw numbers into compelling benchmarks. Leading Lights helps a variety of companies turn insights into engaging stories that drive growth. Elevate your brand with data-driven content that captivates your audience and sets you apart from the competition with Leading Lights. Visit their website at leadinglights.io to see how you can transform your platform data. All right. Welcome back to Foxboro's Fortress, everyone. I'm Cecil Kenney.
And I'm Raphael Babchuck.
Greg is over there. Let's talk about Atlanta United and how they're faring. So they're currently 2-3-2. They beat Montreal in the first game. And then they lost and drew to Charlotte, Red Bull, Miami, and FC Cincinnati. And then they won against NYCFC, and then drew the other day against Dallas. Um, they spent big in the transfer window. Um, and so I talked about them
Yeah.
when the Revs went into international break and we didn't have a game. I talked about Atlanta and I talked about Austin. They've kind of been underperforming. I would have expected Atlanta to do, a little bit better given how much they spent. But talking about some players to watch for, especially for me, I like Miranchuk. I've liked him since last year, 7 games and a goal. He was at Atalanta and Torino in Italy. He's been good for Atlanta. I think he'll do great. He's not Cappy, but he came off the bench last game. I don't know if that will happen again, but I'd like to see him in action. Hopefully not as good, so that the Revs can have a chance. 'Cause, that would be good. Get a win against Atlanta in
Mhm.
Mercedes Benz. And then Zande Silva, former Premier League player with Forest and West Ham. I think they were in the Premier League at that time. And then he was at Dijon, loaned to Atlanta, and then at Atlanta permanently. I think he hasn't shown out for Atlanta. Hopefully not this game, but I want to see him succeed. Um, Raph, who are you two guys?
Yeah, so first up, I got Brad Guzan, goalkeeper, 40 years old. I mean, you talk about a guy who's just constantly consistent. I mean, you think got Guzan. I mean, he's 40 years old, still playing goalie. This season, he has 1 clean sheet in 7 games. Is a very good MLS keeper, and he's 40 years old, he's still at it. He's doing very well, and yeah, I think he's going to continue that in this game, and he's a great keeper. And we're gonna have to, have some great finishes to get past him. I also want to talk about Miguel Almiron. Obviously, everyone knows him for his Newcastle United. Initially, he was at Atlanta, and then he went to Newcastle for a stint of about 5 years. And now he's back. 6 games, 2 goals, 1 assist. Very good for Atlanta since he's came back, and he was obviously good with Newcastle before. So Miguel Almiron in particular, he could be someone who can just have a spark because he has had that talent to play in the Premier League for five or so years. So I mean, he's someone that we have to watch out for.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's a dangerous player. And so it'll be interesting to see how the Revs contain him, and then how we get past Guzan.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like you
Again, he's
mentioned,
just very consistent goalie.
very consistent goalkeeper in MLS. Greg, you got anybody you want to watch for?
Yeah, I'll keep this short, but I agree with Almiron. I mean, boy, he was a nightmare to deal with in his first stint with Atlanta United. Then he goes over to the Premier League, had a fairly successful tenure over at the Premier League. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like he dropped off a cliff or anything like that. Some people leave MLS and go to Europe and completely falter. Almiron had a very successful career at Newcastle United. It looks like I'm reading the stats right now. He scored 11 goals in the Premier League 2 years ago. So this is a guy that is he's 31, which makes me feel so old because I remember when he was brand new to the league. But this is a guy on the wrong side of 30, but he's still super effective. He's going to be a massive, massive pain for the Revolution. And the Revs really had no answer for him in his first stint, so I don't expect them to have an answer for him in his second stint with Atlanta. So I think that's the guy to watch for sure.
This dude's losing. I don't know why he's losing it. Oh my god.
No, you're right. I mean, Miguel Almiron, he's a very good player. Sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing. Oh.
I don't know why you're laughing either.
Yeah.
No.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
but he's
Almiron's a very dangerous player. And I need to see the Revs figure out a way to
yeah,
contain him.
definitely.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, there's one player I do want to talk about, Matthew Edwards. He's from the Atlanta Academy. He was at Atlanta 2 for 2 years, and now he's been on the first team for 2 years. I mean, I feel like he's someone we can take advantage of. He's a right back. He's been playing left back this season. He's also been playing center back as well. He's played, I think, 1 or 2 games so far this season. He's someone that we really, I think, if we want on the wing, we can kind of get past him. He's a younger player, and he hasn't really shown that he's, that as good as we think. So I think if we wanna, this is a game for our wingers to really kind of like advance and do well.
that'd be great. I
Yeah.
haven't heard his name, but it'll be interesting to watch for him
Yeah,
if
because
he
he's been
plays.
playing a bunch this season. So I feel like if we want someone to kind of take advantage of on that wing, I feel like that's him.
That's hopefully we can make some of that. I don't think I have too much more.
Yeah, so I think we want to predict the score. If Greg, you want to go first, predict the score and scorers, maybe.
Oh, scorers. That's hard. Well, why don't I go? You know what? I'll go 2-0 Atlanta. Let's go with an Almiron brace. I talked about him. I'll go.
Yeah.
But I'll go 2-0. I think the Revs are really going to struggle to
Yeah.
score. I mean, it's just been a massive issue. It sounds like
Yeah.
I think Shankly may be back in limited minutes. So it sounds like he's coming off of the bench, which probably means we're dealing with Max Urruti up top again.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I think they're going to have the same problems again and again and again. Hopefully, they get to more than one expected goal, but I'm not expecting anything. So
Yeah.
I think the Revs get shut out, and I'm expecting this to be about a 2-0 loss.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call 1-1. I have not predicted a Revs win or draw yet on this podcast, and so I kind of have to stop being negative. Although I think we are gonna lose, I'm gonna say 1-1. Max is not gonna score. I hope Luca scores.
Yeah.
So I'll say he scores, but I don't know if that will happen. And then for I think Latte Law, someone we didn't talk about, but very dangerous player up top, from Middlesbrough. I think he'll score for Atlanta.
Mhm.
And so those are my two scores, in a 1-1 draw. What do you
Yeah,
got?
I'm going 0-0. I think it's
Really?
just going to be
Ooh.
our Revolution going to have good defense, and obviously, I don't think we're going to be able to attack and do well. I think we will hold strong defensively, and I think it's going to end in a very boring 0-0 game. Yeah,
That's
and not what I want to see, but I
Yeah.
mean, if we can't do anything on the like attacking side, what are we really doing?
yeah. If we
Best
can't do
case
anything
scenario,
attack,
this best case scenario, this is a really boring game.
yeah.
Yeah,
Best case scenario
best
is
case scenario, we have a defensive masterclass, and obviously because our attack isn't too good, that's all that really happens.
hopefully the Revs win or both teams end up with donuts.
Yeah.
So that would be ideal. Um, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
I think that's gonna do it.
that's gonna do it. Well, Greg, thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to have you. If you haven't already, follow Revolution Recap on X and also any podcasting net for us. Thank you, Leading Lights LLC, for sponsoring this, and our next episode will be coming next Monday. Thank you, guys. All right, well, thank you,
Yeah.
Greg.